Why can't France just mind its own business? Recently, French media outlets have shown an unusual fascination with Burkina Faso and President Ibrahim Traoré.
Let's get you more on this evolving situation in Burkina Faso.
You have to wonder, doesn't France have enough issues of its own? Even after Burkina Faso banned France 24 News from airing within its borders, the French media's relentless scrutiny hasn't stopped. They've continued publishing negative articles, criticizing and questioning President Traoré at every opportunity. But now, they've taken things a step further. In a shocking new accusation, France 24 claims President Traoré's administration is secretly paying social media creators to artificially boost his popularity using AI-generated content. That's right. According to France 24, the millions of voices supporting Traoré online aren't even real. They're saying it's all just fake, AI-driven hype. But is there any truth behind these explosive claims? In this video, we'll dive deep into the accusations by France 24, separate fact from fiction, and reveal what's really going on behind the scenes in this increasingly heated international drama. Last month, something strange caught the attention of France 24 News. They released a headline that read, "From Beyoncé to R. Kelly, AI music videos praise Burkina Faso music junta." It wasn't just a written article, it came with a full video report. And the message was clear. Something unusual is happening around President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. France 24's journalists were baffled. Why was this relatively new African leader suddenly being praised in videos by global superstars like Beyoncé, R. Kelly, and even Justin Bieber? So they started digging. What they found was shocking. Over 200 videos had popped up online.
Several music videos online, some of the top voices in the music world, like Beyoncé, Selena Gomez, Rihanna, they're all singing in support of Burkina Faso's military ruler. What exactly is going on here?
In each one, a famous singer appeared to be praising Traoré, singing his name, celebrating his leadership, defending his cause. But there was a catch. None of it was real. The videos were fake, created using AI technology known as deepfakes. These weren't official endorsements. Beyoncé never sang about Traoré, neither did R. Kelly or Justin Bieber. France 24's investigation revealed the truth. The videos were made by social media creators. Most of them were young, tech-savvy Africans. Some were hardcore supporters of President Traoré, others just wanted clicks and cash. But either way, their message was loud and clear. Traoré is inspiring a new generation, and they're willing to use every tool, including artificial intelligence, to spread that message. Whether it's propaganda, fan worship, or clever marketing, it's got the world watching. And for France 24, that alone was reason to sound the alarm. As part of their investigation, France 24 contacted one of the YouTube content creators responsible for these viral AI music videos. One of his most popular creations was titled, "God Protect Ibrahim Traoré" by R. Kelly. The title alone was enough to turn heads, but the real shock came from the numbers. That video alone gathered over 1.9 million views on YouTube, an impressive reach for something completely AI-generated. But that's where the journalist raised an eyebrow. In her report, she made an interesting and rather suspicious statement. She suggested that those millions of views might not be entirely real. In other words, she hinted that bots, automated programs, could be behind the high view count. It was a subtle accusation, but a powerful one. The success of the video might be just as artificial as the voice in it. It's a claim we'll come back to later because it says a lot about how the world views this growing digital movement. Now, the France 24 team also revealed that this particular content creator was based in Nigeria. When they spoke to him, he introduced himself as an AI artist, someone who uses artificial intelligence to make music videos. He explained that this wasn't a business idea at first. It began as a personal project, something he did out of pure admiration for President Traoré and the changes he's making in Burkina Faso. He was simply a fan expressing his support through his art. But once his videos started going viral, everything changed. People began reaching out, asking him to create similar videos for them. That's when the Nigerian artist saw an opportunity. He started charging $1,000 per video. What began as a heartfelt tribute quickly turned into a business. And just like that, deepfake music became a tool, not just for expression, but for influence, income, and possibly propaganda. Yet, through all of this, one question lingers. Is this the future of political support in the digital age, or a cleverly disguised illusion? Now, this is where things take a very interesting turn. After completing their so-called investigation, the journalists at France 24 made a bold claim. They suggested that this wave of AI-generated music videos wasn't just a coincidence. It was part of a coordinated campaign by President Traoré's administration, a digital strategy, they say, designed to boost his image on the global stage. But even as they made this claim, they admitted something crucial. There's no evidence that Traoré's government is actually behind it. None. Not a single document, quote, or link tying the president or his team to the creators of these videos. Still, the journalist pointed out that Traoré is benefiting massively from all the attention, and somehow that alone made him suspicious. So let's pause for a moment and ask the real question. What was the actual goal of France 24's video report? Was it to educate the public about the rise of deepfake videos? About how AI is being used to shape political narratives? Absolutely not. Anyone paying attention can see the real motive. This wasn't about technology. It was about perception, about painting Traoré in a bad light. Again, the real message behind the report is simple, that all the support Traoré is receiving online is fake, that the love he gets across Africa and beyond is just the work of clever AI tools and a few content creators. France 24 wants the world to believe that Traoré doesn't have real backing, that it's all manufactured. But here's the truth. Over the past few months, Traoré's popularity has skyrocketed, not just in Burkina Faso, not just in West Africa, but globally. Online and offline, across social media and in real communities, his name has become a symbol of pan-African pride, a symbol of resistance against neo-colonialism and foreign control. And that scares people, because when one man becomes the face of a movement, especially a movement built on independence, unity, and African power, it challenges everything the old systems were built to protect. President Traoré's rise to fame hasn't happened by chance. His name has spread like wildfire thanks to the growing influence of African content creators and independent news platforms, especially bold channels like Africa Reloaded. These creators have played a huge role in building his image across the continent and beyond. Day after day, video after video, they've pushed Traoré's message online until the algorithms of YouTube and Google could no longer ignore it. Now, type his name into any search engine, and it explodes. Traoré has become one of the most searched figures on African social media. That's how powerful grassroots media can be. With enough voices, a digital wave can become a global movement. But all this attention hasn't gone unnoticed. In fact, it's raised alarms in Paris. French media outlets, instead of acknowledging the shift, have reacted with disbelief. They refuse to accept the idea that a military leader from Burkina Faso, young, defiant, and proudly anti-colonial, could command this much admiration so quickly. To them, it doesn't make sense. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. No French president, not even the most popular ones, has ever enjoyed this kind of unified support. At best, a French politician might win over half the country. The other half remains divided. But Traoré? He's different. He isn't just popular in his own country. He's being embraced across Africa and even beyond. And to the French establishment, that's not just shocking, it's threatening. So instead of asking why so many people support him, they chose to investigate how he's getting all this attention. That's how we ended up with the France 24 article about AI-generated music videos, an attempt to explain away his popularity, to reduce a rising African voice to nothing more than an algorithmic trick. But maybe the real story isn't about deepfakes or bots. Maybe it's about the fear of losing control over the narrative. Let's start by breaking down one of the biggest claims made by France 24, the idea that the views on these AI-generated music videos are fake. Frankly, it's a laughable accusation. Are they seriously suggesting that content creators are creating 1.9 million fake YouTube accounts just to rack up views? That's not just unrealistic, it's absurd. Most content creators, especially on YouTube, create videos to attract real views, because that's how they make money. The more genuine engagement they get, the more they earn. These are not government agencies or spy networks. They're young people with laptops and a love for storytelling. Who has the time or resources to generate millions of fake views for a single video? It's a baseless claim, meant to create doubt where there is none. And here's something else to consider. We've never once seen this kind of suspicion aimed at white-owned channels. No one at France 24 has accused Mr. Beast or other popular Western creators of using bots to inflate their numbers. So why now? Why these videos? And why only when they support President Ibrahim Traoré? It's clear that the target here isn't AI technology, it's Traoré. Now let's move to the second claim, that these videos are part of a coordinated campaign by Traoré's administration to boost his image around the world. According to France 24, it all feels too organized, so they assume there must be someone powerful pulling the strings. But once again, they hit a wall. Even the journalist behind the report admitted, there's no proof, no leaked document, no payment trail, no evidence that President Traoré or his government is funding, guiding, or even encouraging these videos. In fact, their own investigation confirms it. There's no link between the administration and the creators. Still, they push the narrative. Still, they plant the seed of doubt. It's not about truth, it's about control. If they can't explain Traoré's popularity through the lens of Western logic, they'll try to discredit it altogether. And that's what makes this more than just a media report. It's a reflection of a deep discomfort with the rise of a new African voice that refuses to play by the old rules. You see, President Ibrahim Traoré is focused on something far bigger than online noise. He's battling deep insecurity across Burkina Faso while also working to rebuild the nation's economy and future. His mission is urgent: security, development, and sovereignty. When it comes to the media, the only major move he's made is to ban Western outlets like France 24. Why? Because of their repeated attacks on the Burkinabe military. Accusations, criticisms, and narratives that demoralize the very soldiers fighting to protect the nation. Now here's what's truly ironic. The very research carried out by France 24 ends up revealing the truth behind the viral AI-generated videos they're so concerned about. The videos weren't the product of some shadowy government campaign. They were created by individuals, content creators who genuinely admire Traoré. This isn't speculation, it's fact, confirmed by the Nigerian AI artist interviewed by France 24 themselves. At no point in the interview did this Nigerian creator say that anyone from the Burkinabe government asked him to produce the videos. There was no secret deal, no hidden agenda. It was a personal project, one born out of admiration. This was his way of showing support, his way of spreading the name of a leader he believes in. So the question becomes, why did the France 24 journalists still choose to present this as a coordinated campaign? Why twist the narrative into something it clearly wasn't? The answer lies in a tactic we've seen time and time again. This is how Western media operates when it comes to African leaders they don't like. If they can't control them, they discredit them. If they can't prove wrongdoing, they manufacture doubt. And if an African leader gains organic, grassroots support, it suddenly becomes suspicious. They turn genuine admiration into conspiracy, authentic support into propaganda. And once again, a Western outlet has used its platform, not to inform, but to manipulate. You see, the real concern of the French media has nothing to do with AI-generated videos. That's just a distraction. What truly unsettles them is the scale of support President Traoré is receiving. They can't seem to accept that a young military leader from West Africa could win the hearts of millions, across his country, across the continent, and even beyond. It's the same disbelief they showed when anti-French sentiment began spreading like wildfire across Africa, especially after the military-led governments of the AES Confederation came into power. They couldn't accept that Africans were waking up. So instead of reflecting on why this sentiment was growing, the French media rushed to invent an explanation. They blamed Russia, claimed Moscow was behind every coup and every protest, even though they had no evidence to support it. But why should they be surprised that Africans are angry, that they're fed up? Do they think we've forgotten? Do they think we can't see through it? Because here's the truth. Africans know. They understand the century-long pattern of exploitation. They know about the stolen gold, the puppet leaders, the backdoor deals, and the military presence disguised as help. What France is facing now is not Russian propaganda. It's generational truth, a truth that can no longer be silenced. And at the heart of France's reaction is something deeper, a superiority complex. France, through its politicians, its citizens, and its media, doesn't believe it did anything wrong. In their eyes, colonization wasn't theft, it was charity. They still believe Africans should be grateful. Grateful for roads, for railways, for schooling, grateful for civilization. That's why, when Chad expelled the French army, President Macron didn't stay quiet. He lashed out. He told Chad and the AES nations that they should thank France for protecting them. He claimed that without French troops, the Sahel would have been wiped out by insecurity. Just imagine that. What insecurity was France protecting the Sahel from? Was it terrorism or independence? Because if we look closely, it wasn't protection France was offering, it was control. And now that control is slipping. And in its place, a new narrative is rising. One built by Africans, for Africans, without permission. The truth is clear. Under France's watch, insecurity in the Sahel didn't get better, it got worse. Year after year, despite foreign troops on African soil, violence only spread. So when President Macron claimed that France saved the Sahel from collapse, what exactly was he talking about? It's not strategy, it's not truth, it's superiority. This is the same superiority complex that continues to define the West's relationship with Africa. The same mindset that insists the West always knows better, that its ideals, its systems, and its history are the standard the rest of the world should follow. We recently came across a video discussion where a group of British panelists tried to debate the benefits of colonialism. Their argument? That colonization brought Africa roads, buildings, education, and civilization. And for that, they said Africans should be grateful. Grateful for being conquered, grateful for slavery, grateful for the stolen resources and broken societies. Thankfully, not everyone on that panel shared the same twisted logic. One speaker pushed back, hard, stating the obvious truth: there was absolutely nothing good about colonialism. And yet, the fact that this debate even happened, that Western intellectuals still argue over whether Africa owes colonizers a thank you, speaks volumes. It reveals a deep, persistent arrogance, one that refuses to acknowledge the pain, loss, and long-term destruction caused by colonization. This is the same reason reparations have never been paid, and likely never will. No matter how many African leaders demand justice, the West always finds a way to look away, to rewrite history, to dismiss the past, because in their eyes, colonialism was a favor, not a crime. And as long as that superiority complex remains, they will never truly see African freedom for what it is, a right, not a rebellion. As we've said before, France simply can't comprehend how or why President Traoré's popularity has exploded across the African continent. They don't understand it, and frankly, they don't want to. Because if they truly wanted answers, they wouldn't have wasted time with a shallow investigation into AI-generated music videos. They would have done something much simpler. They would have spoken to the Burkina people, or asked any African citizen on the street. But we know the truth. They aren't interested in understanding the rise of Traoré. They're interested in discrediting it. That France 24 article wasn't journalism, it was strategy. Its purpose wasn't to reveal facts, it was to paint a picture of a leader who's fake, who's manipulating the internet, who's fooling Africans with smoke and mirrors. That's the image they want the world to see. We've even seen Western media claim that Traoré is only pretending to be a pan-Africanist, that he's adopted the image of an anti-imperialist only because he knows it resonates with Africans. According to them, it's all just a performance, a calculated brand. But we know better. Traoré isn't wearing pan-Africanism like a costume. He's not acting. You can feel it in his speeches. The fire, the conviction, the raw, honest anger against injustice. That isn't scripted, it's lived. And it doesn't stop at his words. His actions match his message. From removing French troops, to building military self-reliance, to rejecting foreign interference, everything Traoré has done proves that his fight is real. His message of liberation from Western dominance has struck a deep chord, not just in Burkina Faso, but all across Africa. And for many, he's not just a politician, he's a symbol, a modern continuation of the legacy left behind by heroes like Thomas Sankara. Burkina Faso's revolutionary icon, the man known as Africa's Che Guevara. And now, decades later, a new voice is rising from the same soil, one that dares to challenge the old world order, one that, no matter how hard they try, France can no longer ignore. Beverly Ochieng, a senior researcher at the global consultancy firm Control Risks, recently told the BBC something powerful. Traoré's impact is huge. I have even heard politicians and authors in countries like Kenya in East Africa say, "This is it. He is the man." She went on to say, his messages reflect the age we are living in, when many Africans are questioning the relationship with the West and why there is still so much poverty in such a resource-rich continent. And she's right, because if President Traoré wasn't popular, if he wasn't inspiring something real, we wouldn't be hearing so many African leaders speak his name. From Botswana to Kenya, from Julius Malema in South Africa to Ghana's President John Mahama, the signs are everywhere. It's not just the people who see Traoré as a symbol of Pan-African pride. Even the leaders feel it. They know the ground is shifting. They know the people are watching, and they know who their citizens are beginning to look up to. As we've said before, Traoré is not just a man of words. He's a man of action. After taking power in a 2022 coup, he didn't waste time. He cut ties with the former colonial power, France, something few African leaders have dared to do so decisively. Instead, he turned toward a new partner, Russia. And with that alliance came more than diplomacy. It brought in a Russian paramilitary presence, signaling a bold new direction in Burkina Faso's security and foreign policy. But that's not all. Traoré's government also began adopting left-wing, people-first economic policies. He started talking about national sovereignty, not just in politics, but in economics, in education, in defense, in dignity. For many across Africa, this isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. Because for the first time in a long time, they're not just hearing promises, they're watching someone take real steps toward freedom, toward ownership, toward something new. President Traoré's revolution isn't just about speeches, it's rooted in action. He launched a state-owned mining company and passed a bold law requiring all foreign firms, including Russian giant Nordgold, to give the Burkina state a 15% stake in local operations. But it wasn't just about shares. The companies were also ordered to transfer skills and knowledge to Burkina workers, building long-term capacity, not dependency. And that was just the beginning. Traoré's government is building Burkina Faso's first ever gold refinery, establishing national gold reserves and reclaiming wealth that has long been siphoned away. He even nationalized 2 gold mines previously owned by a London-listed company and announced plans to reclaim more foreign-run mines in the near future. This is what it looks like when a nation takes back control of its destiny. Yet despite these groundbreaking efforts, Western media still insists on calling him a junta. They ignore the fact that Traoré was given a full 5-year mandate by the people of Burkina Faso. They don't want to see a leader who's actually fighting for sovereignty. They want to reduce him to a label. But not everyone is blind to the truth. Enoch Randy Akins, a researcher with South Africa's Institute for Security Studies, told the BBC plainly, he is now arguably Africa's most popular, if not favorite, president. Traoré never asked for fame. He doesn't care about being the most admired. He simply wants to do right by his people. And that says everything. Because if Traoré truly wanted to win everyone over, he could have played it safe. He could have transitioned to civilian rule quickly, just to gain applause from critics. He could have avoided controversy. He could have kept Western media outlets happy, or refused to send local journalists to the front lines, actions that have brought him heavy criticism. But he didn't, because Traoré is not here for praise. He's here for progress. He knows not everyone will agree with him. He knows some Africans still distrust military rule, but that doesn't stop him. He continues to move forward, focused, relentless, and committed to ending insecurity and building a future Burkina people can believe in. As Mr. Aiken said, he just wants to do right by his people, and that's what true leadership looks like. So if France 24 and the rest of the Western media can't understand that, then that's their problem. Because one thing is clear, Africa has changed. We are no longer waiting for France or the West to tell our story. We're telling it ourselves, with our words, with our platforms, and with our truth. Gone are the days when Africans swallowed every Western headline without question. Today, a new generation is awake, informed, and ready to reclaim the narrative. And President Traoré is just the beginning.